Hey guys, it's Elizabeth from the Missionaries of God's Love in Tustin, California, and today we're going to take a look at the question, how can I educate my children? Why should I educate them? We're going to start answering this question by looking at Proverbs 22, verse 6, and it reads, "Start children off the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." Educating kids is so important. And kids tend to be at ages where they're constantly learning. And yeah, I mean physically, but also emotionally and intellectually. They're like sponges and absorb everything. So there are multiple ways on how you can educate a child, but the one that I want to highly recommend is start teaching your kid about God, about Jesus, and moral values. Examples of this can be show them how to pray, introduce them to the rosary and religious images, tell them stories about the Bible, tell them who Jesus is, explain to them why we should do good things over bad things. And you can begin by explaining what are good things. Or explain about the messages that the Bible teaches, but please only teach them about child-appropriate things. Once they get older, they'll be able to understand the other messages from the Bible. Another way you can educate them is by taking your children to church. Educate them to love God. Take your children to children's classes if your parish offers them, where they teach them about God or the Bible. And the most effective way you can teach a child is by you being a role model for them. That is the best way you can educate them. So if you don't attend to church already, start creating that habit of always going to church on Sundays. Or create the habit of going to a teaching that your parish or church offers you. Start reading the Word of God. Fall in love with God. Be a Christian and be an example that your children can follow. And truly, this is one of the best ways you can educate your children, because children are very observant. And if you consistently demonstrate your love and dedication and commitment to God, your children will later follow your example. Yeah, it might not be right away, and yes, they may cry or complain about church at the beginning, or even for a couple of years, but I promise you that your efforts will be worth it and will be multiplied. I mean, Jesus even told us that whatever we can give and offer and sacrifices that we give for God, no matter how little they are, multiply what we give. And I personally believe that I highly value my relationship with God and service because my parents took their commitment to God and their relationship with God seriously throughout my whole childhood. They taught me that God should be first before everything else and that I should seek God's counsel and wisdom, and I'm so grateful that they helped me develop that habit. And yes, it did take time. But now that I'm older, I am so grateful that they taught me everything that they knew and showed me how much they loved and value God in their lives. So please educate your children about God at a young age. Teach them good morals and be an example so they can follow it. Because it is so true that when children are taught something at a young age, when you set something as the foundation, it will be so difficult for it to be undone. It will be difficult for them to not be what their parents were. And really, again, I can see this for myself because I gained a lot of qualities from my parents, both good and bad. And I do things unconsciously because the education they gave me and their personalities have literally become the core person who I am. So continue meditating on this topic. Think about ways on how you can educate your child. How can I introduce my children to God? Tell God, "Speak to me, O Lord, for your servant is listening."